Well, hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Big Lou, and welcome to my very first build video. I built these shelves a while back to keep all of my geeky knickknacks and trinkets and whatnot on. If you want to see how I did it, go ahead and check it out. As I said, this is my very first build video, so feedback is most welcome, and please be kind. Thanks so much. I knew I wanted these to be corner shelves with a rounded front edge, and I knew that the easiest way for me to get to that end was to start with a round beginning. I picked up this 36-inch pine tabletop from Home Depot and needed to know exactly where to mark it so I could split it into equal halves. I found the center by drawing a line across the three sides of the face. I then found the center of each of these lines and drew a 90-degree line to the center. The spot where all three lines meets is the exact center of the circle. I was then able to mark my cut line for me to follow with my saw. I clamped a straight edge to the board so I could get a nice straight cut. The next cuts I made were to trim each shelf to length so that they would be tapered as they were mounted on the wall. Next, I'm measuring for the rails that will support the shelves. I'm using 1x3 poplar that I picked up when I got the round board. Then I'm just going to take it over to the miter saw and trim everything to length. Alright, so it's right about here that I decided I needed to miter the ends of the rails so that they fit better together in the corner. There's a song in there somewhere about being together, I'm sure. I just don't want to sing. So the next thing that I did is took an old coffee can and I marked the corners, and I just cut it out with a jigsaw. I am not good with a jigsaw, as evidenced by this shot, but the more you do it, the better you get. So I'll just keep working at it. The next part of this build gets a little bit specialized because I'm using a biscuit joiner. If you don't have a biscuit joiner, you can always pick up a dowel jig for about 15 bucks at Rockler or Woodcraft. I marked the spot on both the rail and the shelf so that they would line up with each other. This was my first time using a biscuit joiner, and I have to say it was not as intimidating as I thought it was going to be. Making sure to mark all the places I was cutting was the key, but it went really, really smooth. And once I had made all of the cuts I needed, I put the biscuits in as a test fit and was really pleased that everything lined up, especially since I could begin to see what the final product was going to look like. Alright, so as you can see, the glue up is just the same as the test fit, only I'm using wood glue and some clamps to keep it together. Once it's in the clamps, I just let it sit overnight after I wipe up some of the excess glue squeeze out. The next morning I'll take it out of the clamps, and it looks pretty good. I'm really pleased with how they're turned out so far. I just use my orbital sander and sand off any of the residual glue residue. Say that 4 times fast. And then I go on to start marking the spots where I'm going to pre-drill the screws. Now, for pre-drilling the screws, I didn't really worry about mounting it to any studs or anything because I'm going to be using drywall anchors for that. So I just wanted to make sure that they looked like they were lined up when you looked at it from a distance. Alright, the paint I'm using is leftover paint from when I remodeled my kitchen. It's just regular old latex paint. These shelves are going to be in a room that's adjacent to the kitchen, and the color scheme carries over, so it makes a nice accent. The paint was really old and very thick, so I should have thinned it out a little bit, but it turned out to be fine once I put a couple of coats on, and I sanded lightly with 220 grit, I think? Anyway, 220 grit in between applications. By the way, if you're curious about any of the materials or tools that I've used in this project, just check out the description down below in this video. I'll have a list of everything that I've used and links to where you can find it. Mounting this was more involved than I had planned for because I had to make sure that the pre-drilled holes lined up with where I put the wall anchors. I drove the screws in so that they just popped out the other side and then used the screw point to mark on the wall where the anchors needed to go. Once I mounted the wall anchors, which are rated for up to 50 pounds a piece, and I'm using 4 of them per shelf, I think it'll be plenty strong. Anyway, once I did that, it was just a matter of drilling the screws that came with the wall anchors into it, and then it was good to go. Well, that's the video, folks. There it is. Hope you enjoyed and were able to learn how to make these shelves. They turned out exactly how I pictured them in my head. There are a couple of things that I would have done a little bit differently, though. I would have put some wood filler around the edges to fill in some of the gaps and voids in the pine that I used. Other than that, I got no complaints with how they turned out. It's exactly what I was looking for. If you like this video and you want to see more of what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Brand new here. As I said, this is my first build video. I really hope that you stick around and see some of the cool stuff that I'm going to be doing. I've got all kinds of stuff for you to check out. Go ahead and subscribe by clicking right here. And probably something else is going to be fun for you to watch right here if you're watching this in the future. And I hope you are. We'll see you next time.